Welcome everybody to the Mental Health Hour. Welcome to our fifth live Q&A special. This is episode 87 in the series. Um, Very good to be here this evening. Gemma, how about you? How are you?
Uh, Not too bad. First week of the school Easter holidays. Can't wait for them to go back to school. We have another week, yeah.
The kids' spring break doesn't start until Friday, so they still have one more day of school.
Oh, wow, they're still at school now. Okay.
Yeah, Easter's Friday. Friday's Good Friday, then Easter Sunday is Sunday.
How long do they get off? They're 2 weeks still?
Oh hell! It looks like they're off the majority of next week.
Oh.
So yes, welcome in everybody. It's good to see everybody here. We're back again, as always. It's going to be a interesting and potentially lengthy episode. At least that's what it looks like. We had 30 some odd responses to the questionnaire or the um, QR code Google Doc. So we're going to have to jump right in. We're going to get as far along as we can. But Penelope may interrupt at some point for her dinner. And I will either have to feed her live on stream or we'll just see if we're at a point where we should just break it into 2 weeks of live. Um, that being said, we will get moving. We will. I'll throw it to Gemma at first, so she can go over the rules, so to speak, or how we do this here. Jim in Chicagoland, thank you for the 50 bits. It's good to see you. Welcome in, and yes, Gemma, please take us through what we do here on the live Q&A.
Okay, so you can submit a question via it's a Google Docs, so I can't see who sent them, and all we ask is that it's mental health related. You don't use anybody else's names because we're not calling anybody out or targeting anyone. And when I read it out, if it does contain a name, I will omit the name. And often, if it refers to he or she, I just take it out completely so it's applicable to everyone. But keep it clean, keep it on topic, and just don't use names. You can put your name in the box at the bottom. I won't know if it is you, but if you need to contact us back for whatever reason or a follow up, then it's easier to do that. And if we need to send you anything, then again, easier to do that. But I wouldn't ever read a name out if it is on there anyway.
Thank you, Gemma. That being said, it should be noted that while the the Google Docs will not be out of service or out of commission during this, you can still send questions in. However, like I said, we have 30 or so to get through. So if something does come up, we might have to answer on another show or keep it for the next live Q&A. We do these pretty regularly. But anyway, so feel free to continue to send in questions if something pops up. However, we're pressed this evening, so we might not get to everything, which we will address. We will get to it eventually, whether we have to do another week of this. We will figure out what we're doing once we're a little bit further in. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Gemma, what do you have for the first question this go around?
Right, just sending that. Right, okay. So I'm just going to read them as they are written. Obviously omitting any names if there is any. So the first one, I am pretty sure that I have ADHD, but I am not diagnosed. Thing is, I am quite old now. Does it matter to have a diagnosis? How do you manage? And what if I can't get a diagnosis? What do I do? Okay.
So that's a good question. You you're never too old to get a diagnosis for anything. Is the short answer to that.
Mhm.
You can certainly at any time go to your doctor and be evaluated for ADHD. They ask a pretty standard routine set of questions. I know here in the States, it is not hard at all to get a diagnosis and or prescription for ADHD medicine, um, as it's uh,
I'm just
become
going to shut the door. Sorry.
become particularly buzzworthy here of late. Um, it's not it's not, so to speak, like a trendy thing, but it's more prominent these days. So,
Mhm.
um, as with anything that gets more attention and research done, then we learn more about it. So, if you're not getting a diagnosis, the then you're not meeting the criteria of the doctor's
Yeah, it's like if
question.
you haven't been assessed, but you think you should, is it something that's going to impact your life? Is it going to change your life if you get this diagnosis?
Yeah.
Um, it's a case of if it matters to you to have it, then push for it. Otherwise, if it's not going to make a difference, then does it really matter? But yeah.
Um, MGAM saying, I know a few streamers who have ADHD, and I am me, myself, and Tim. I am one of those streamers.
Mm-hmm.
I have ADHD. I have the diagnosis. Um, the questions were pretty generic, you know, about organization, concentration. What does your desk look like? Do you have a filing system? Um, are you able to concentrate on one particular item for longer than 5 seconds? Um, and even a question about what do my sheets look like when I wake up in the morning? Are they all bunched up in a ball, or are they still somewhat flat? That kicks into the hyperactivity part of the ADHD, or H, if you will. So
Yeah.
I hope that helps for question number one. It's never too late to get a diagnosis. If you're not getting the diagnosis you're looking for, uh, you can either try other doctors, get a second opinion,
Mm-hmm.
or perhaps you're not qualified for that diagnosis, and it's time to look down other avenues. They won't just leave you say no, it's not ADHD and leave you high and dry. We'll figure out. Usually, a doctor will go down other routes with you and figure out what's going on. But hopefully, that was helpful. And as always, with any of the answers in tonight's broadcast, remember Gemma and I are not medically trained people here. I mean, I'm medically trained to ride an ambulance, but I'm not a mental health professional. Neither is Gemma. We are just two people sharing our experience, strength, and hope, and
Mm-hmm.
hopes for normalizing the conversation around mental health,
Mm-hmm.
as it affected both of our lives deeply. So, with that being said, also you can um, reach us at our Discord. Hattie will drop that in, as she already has. You can reach us at Discord or any of the socials on our bio link and get further information on any of these questions tonight. Okay. Question
Yep.
number two, Gemma, go for it.
Okay, so how do you know if you have a mental health problem rather than just feeling a bit down?
How do you know if you have a mental health problem rather than just feeling a bit down? I would say, and I would say the first and foremost is how frequent
Mm-hmm.
are we feeling down? Is it an everyday thing? Is it once in a great while? Is it, kind of pinpoint how frequent we're talking? If it's an everyday thing, then yeah, there's probably something going on. Gemma, what do you think?
Yeah, if it's like an everyday thing and it's been persistently there for quite a while, then yeah, I'd say there's maybe something else going on. And the best way to get that checked is speak to your doctor, get referred for an assessment for that, and go from there. Because if there is a mental health problem there, obviously you want to get it diagnosed and get it treated. You're muted.
Sure. Michael Joseph Murray, thank you for the one gifted sub. And that Craig Bloke guy was it looks like the lucky recipient. So thank you to at Michael Joseph Murray on behalf of that Craig guy, that Craig Bloke. And that should be, I think I'm caught up. Okay. Gemma, question 3.
Okay, what do I do if the support I'm receiving for my mental health isn't helping me? We've discussed this many times before, and like we both said, if you're getting help and support and it's not helping you, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You move on, get somebody else that is.
Yeah. Therapists are, and I believe we have a similar question coming down the line. They are or they should be shopped, just like anything else that you're going to purchase for either consumption or you're essentially the consumer here, and there's a market out there in economics sense, supply and demand. You don't go out and buy just any insert whatever brand here of you shop around, you find what works best for you. If you're allergic to something, you're not going to buy that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to shop around. It might take 2 or 3 times to find the right fit, but there's
different styles of treatment as well for mental health, like CBT, like various different types of mental health support. And if you're in the UK and you're getting it on the NHS, that same applies. If you're not getting on with the person you are having the therapy with, change. You can still do that.
Indeed. All right. Next question.
Yeah. Right. Is it possible to prevent mental health related problems before they happen?
Is it possible to prevent? So I guess it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking about like schizophrenia or something, that could be a bit more severe and unpredictable. Is there any preventative maintenance you can do for like depression and stuff? Certainly. Depression is something that we can count on. Those of us diagnosed with depression understand the kind of signs and symptoms of it, what it feels like. Now, I've told you guys several times that I don't often see it first. My wife normally notices it first, but there are preventative things that can be done as soon as she starts to see things starting to go in motion before it gets too bad. Things like journaling, exercise, eating healthier, all of these things that our doctors regularly recommend do increase endorphins and have a purpose, especially for your mental health. And other than that, just speak with your doctor, your primary care physician. See if there's anything that warrants further investigation or talking to with a psychiatrist or therapist or any of the mental health field clinicians um,
Mhm.
to try and get a jump on whether you feel like you might have depression or anxiety, this, that, or the other. Gemma, anything to add to that?
Um, well, you've covered most of it, I think. Even if you can't prevent it happening, you can certainly try and prevent it from getting any worse. Um, Make sure if you have any suspicions, get support. Um, don't just leave it because then things will get worse. So even if you can't prevent it from actually happening, you can potentially prevent it from getting worse.
Exactly. Perfectly said. All right, we are kind of moving right along, which is good. Um, uh, we're only putting a dent in, but
Well, this next one's all yours.
all right.
Okay, so I have a long family history of alcoholics, and I am worried about where that leaves me, also my son. If there is a family history of alcoholism, does that mean it will definitely affect everyone in the family?
Uh, it's a genetic thing, so no. Um, is the quick answer to that. No, it does not have to. You do not have to have the gene. It can be recessive. It does not have to be a dominant gene in your makeup. You could there. I have four sisters, and three of us are in a program. One is not,
Mm.
um, and still drinks regularly and is perfectly normal with it. And it comes from both sides of our family tree. Um, so I mean, yeah, there's a 1 in 4 chance for you if you will.
Mm.
Um, it's all about whether or not um, you're. It's hard to see when you're in the thick of it. Like it took me so long to really realize there was anything fucked up with me
Mm.
until my organs started shutting down. Then I was finally like, oh dear. Um, well, this isn't happening to anybody else. Maybe I am going a bit too hard. And then once they were shutting down and I still couldn't stop drinking, I that confirmed uh, that I had something serious going on. Now, hopefully, it doesn't take that for everybody. Some people uh, get a jump on it a little sooner before they're lying in a hospital bed 2 or 3 times, um, or on their way down to a rehab facility. But yeah, it's a as Hattie says, never be afraid to ask your doctor questions. Throw that up there. Um, they can at least point you in a direction. You can reach out to me at any time on the Discord or really any of the socials. Um, I am very open with my alcoholism and what I did to kind of, or what I do daily to kind of try and keep it in check because it doesn't go away. Um, it is always with me, even though I'm coming up on 3 years of sobriety. Um, it's still a daily thing to um, keep my head around and to try and stay ahead of. Um, so I hope that answers that question. Um, no, the short answer was no. Just because it's in your family bloodstream doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be affected by it. It could be a recessive gene in
Mm.
your makeup. Same for your son or daughter or whomever. Um,
I guess if you are worried, think that you might have some sort of like signs, you could get help earlier rather than waiting till it really hits you, I
Yeah.
guess. And
Yeah.
then, you know,
I mean, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I worry too. Like my daughter is not even a year old yet, and I
mm,
already have thought about it.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that's always going to be in the back of my mind. Um, but she might get lucky, and um, it's something that we'll keep our eyes on. And
Hmm.
I will do my part as well in raising her, explaining my issue, what I have been through, and what when she's older and can understand and comprehend what's going on, I'll be the first one to tell her exactly like I do on this show every week,
Hmm.
what I've been through and how important it is um, to stay on top of these things.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. Right. Next one, yeah? Okay. So the next one, I have started a new relationship and my mental health has really been a problem in the past. Is it too early to say about these problems? When is a good time to mention it? It really affects me with relationships, like worrying about splitting up, jealousy when it comes to other people, like my boyfriend's friends. What do I do and when should I tell him? I think they mean about telling their boyfriend that they have a mental health problem, which I would say as soon as you can, really.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't. It's not something I would keep for too long. I mean,
no, no.
depending on what it is and how serious it is, like it might be pretty personal, and you don't want to introduce your kids into the situation too quickly.
Mm,
Uh, for those of for those parents that date, they'll tell you, they didn't want to bring their kids, involve them in the mix before they knew, or were sure how comfortable um, this relationship was turning out to be, or uh,
mm,
how concrete, I guess, it
mm,
was, and not just some fling or a date or two, and you find out it's not really meshing. You might not want to divulge your deepest and darkest secrets. But if it is something that is turning into a decent relationship and something that you're looking to pursue for an extended time, or marriage, uh, then yeah, I would jump on that as soon as possible. Don't ever hide things, because that's not going to start the marriage or um, relationship off on the right foot. Uh,
mm.
if it is something serious, what do you
And
think?
you don't want to get into a relationship having been in it for a while and then drop that on them. And it potentially could rock the boat, I guess. You want to get out there as soon as you can because then you know it's out of the way. You can work on building your relationship and being honest from the start. And then at least they know what what to expect, I guess. Maybe they will be able to help you with it because, like in any relationship, there's give and take, and if um, if you're going to be together and be in a relationship, then you need to work together with that.
All right. Good morning to that Greg bloke. Um, Good to see you, pal. And as a ray of sunshine agrees, yes, always let everything out in the open with your significant other.
Hmm.
Um, Never a good idea to, especially starting a relationship. Not a good idea to start on lies.
No,
Uh,
no.
but also, like we were saying, protect what's rightfully yours, um, just like you would protect your kids.
Hmm.
If it's something significant, uh, that kind of a not a secret, but something that is a part of you that belongs to you, and like my alcoholism. Yeah, I'm open about it and I'll tell anybody, but for a lot of folks, that's not the case. It's a very private matter,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been for ages. Um, I decided at rehab that I wasn't going to be private with it because I was so damn sick of being private and lying essentially on a daily basis to
Mm-hmm.
myself, to my friends, to my coworkers, to my family, um, about who I was and like what was going on. I'm just trying to put on a mask essentially every single day, uh, almost for shame of who I actually was. I couldn't do that anymore. So that's why I'm so open about it. It's part of my program. It helps me. But for a lot of folks that are alcoholics, it is not something that we're just out and open with.
Mm-hmm.
Protected information. It's private. Um, Now, eventually, when they get involved in a relationship, that does come up. Why, you're going to notice, why do you never drink? Um, but that is to be shared, just like anything else, at the um, discretion of you whenever you're ready. But at the same time, try not to lie about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, you ready for the next one? Right, this one is I wanted to ask you both, Tim and Gemma, have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly? Things like being the victim of armed assault, witnessing a tragedy happen to someone else, surviving a sexual assault, or living through natural disaster. How did you cope with them and what help did you get?
Gemma, I'll let you go ahead because I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't personally. I mean, I've seen a lot of fucking shit on for my job, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of trauma, tragedy, and just things that humans shouldn't see. But that is a part of my job, and we take care of each other, and it's a lot more um, okay to not be okay these days. And you do have to do some of that preventative maintenance we were talking about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
with the therapist. But I'm gonna let you go with this one because I think you have probably more dealings in personal
Yeah.
tragedy.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. I was held at gunpoint when I was working somewhere, and then the sexual assault. I've had that, and I guess the only way you can cope with it is to like never blame yourself for a start. Get help with it. Process what has happened. Try to come to terms with it. Deal with it, and get the help you need with it. Like for me with the sexual assault, um, it did take a while, um, years, in fact. And there's no deadline as to when you are okay again. There can be things that even now will trigger that for me, even though it was years ago, like over 20 years. And let me get rid of that. I think the best thing you can do is just you don't ever blame yourself, but you need to just take time to process what's happened, deal with it, and then like a good thing again I learned was journaling it, writing things down, how I felt, um, just just to help me process it all and just to get through it. Really, I had a lot of counselling and stuff, so it's the only way you can. Just take one day at a time, hour by hour even, and get through it that way. But definitely don't keep it to yourself. Reach out to someone you trust, therapist, friend, family member, whoever, and let someone help you. Let someone in.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
said. Um, I don't really have much to add. There is uh, that was well put, Gemma.
Mhm.
And just keep an eye on your own mental health, and sometimes it's hard to do that. It is hard to look in the mirror and say that we need help, but it's something that I'm sure glad I did after being stubborn for so long.
Mm.
Because I feel so much better now, and it's that preventive maintenance.
Mhm.
However, if a trauma or tragedy has occurred, like Gemma was speaking on, it's not preventative anymore. It's managing. Um,
Mhm.
so just stay on top of your feelings and your um, mental health. Um,
Yeah, there's some things that are taken out of our control, that things that happen that can affect your mental health. And the only thing you can do, the only thing you can control with that is how you react and how you deal with it once it's happened.
exactly.
Hmm.
That
Okay.
is it.
Next one.
Sure.
Okay. What is the best way to deal with panic attacks? I have them, and usually they don't happen often, but lately it's more often, and it has been happening in public. It's very embarrassing and also worries me about going out because I'm scared it's going to happen again. How can I deal with this? Um,
I unfortunately don't have much in the way of help on this one, so I
yeah, like I used to
will
have
answer.
them. I used to have them quite frequently. The best thing to do when like when you've had them, try and keep a record of when they're happening and where you are at the time. If you know what's triggered it, then write that down with it. See if there's any sort of pattern to it. See if there's anything that is triggering them. And then, as to it happening in public, yeah, I've been there, done that myself. It can be embarrassing, especially when people are around you and see people are just generally nosy and things happening. They will look. Um, I've been in the middle of a shop with my son having a meltdown, and everybody just stops and stares at you, and then it makes you feel more vulnerable, more paranoid about it. So no matter what it is that's happening, um, if it's getting to the point where you don't want to go out by yourself, maybe see if there's someone else that can go with you, just to be with you. But I found the thing that helped me with panic attacks and going out was to not completely, but somewhat disassociate from the fact of going out. So, like, have music or something, just something that would slightly distract me. Don't do it so you can't hear what's going around you and put yourself in any danger. You have to be very mindful, unfortunately, in this day and age of what is around you. But certainly try and keep a record of when they're happening, how often they're happening, if there's any triggers, and then you can potentially go to your doctor, mention it to them, and see if there's anything that they can help support with. But if there's something that you can identify as a trigger, obviously, depending on what it is, try and avoid that trigger. But certainly documenting them will help, um, because then you might be able to see some kind of pattern emerging from it. But
Well, but uh, yeah, I don't. I bow to you on that one. Um,
mhm,
I've never experienced panic attacks.
they can be horrible. Like,
Yeah.
and if you don't know what's going on at first, like the first time I had one, I thought I was having a heart attack. Um, but just try and if you get a lot of warning that it's coming on, like breathing into a paper bag and things, or doing some mindful breathing techniques and things like that, that can help calm it down before it escalates. But it just depends how quickly you get hit with it, really, as to if you can do anything to prevent it from getting any worse. So, anyway, um, next one.
Sure.
Okay, so what is the difference between ADHD and ADD? Also, can you tell me some more about them and autism too? Perhaps a show on them would be good. I think I have ADHD, but I am not diagnosed. Does it matter to be diagnosed as an adult? Um,
Very similar question as before, minus the um, wanting to know the difference between the two. Um,
mhm,
ADD and ADHD are one and the same essentially these days. ADD is now referred to as ADHD. Um, all the H is adding hyperactivity to the mix because that also affects your ability to be attentive. So ADD is attention deficit disorder, and we're just adding hyperactivity into that now as
mhm,
another um, potential cause of what's going on, uh, especially with a hyperactive mind. You're constantly, your thoughts are racing. You're not attentive to one topic or thing at a time.
mhm.
And then we did just the um, for this question in particular, Gemma found a slide which I'll throw up there, and I'll let her run through that real quick.
Yeah, okay. So this is just a quick comparison between ADHD and autism, and then in the middle, the bits that are affected by both. So, ADHD craves novelty and new experiences, difficulty regulating attention and focus, difficulty reading social cues due to focus and attention issues, hyperactivity and impulsivity, and inhibition difficulties. Autism craves familiarity and routine, self soothed through repetitive behaviors and routines, difficulty reading all what? All stick social cues intuitively, even strict adherence to routines, and then the things that are the same in both stimming, sensory issues, interoception issues, impulse control difficulties, interest based nervous system, emotional regulational difficulties, higher rates of substance abuse, suicide, depression, eating disorders, anxiety, bipolar, OCD, communication patterns, info dumping, connecting, overshared interests, value context, things like that.
Yeah,
I
so I mean, you can see
yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
there's a wide variety of similarities between the two
A
of
lot.
ADHD and autism, um, but some pretty big points obviously point to, on the ADHD side, point to the inability to maintain concentration and impulses as far as like staying on topic, um, organizing your shit,
Mm,
um, regulating attention to and focus. I mean, like it says there, your focus is the main cue there,
mhm,
whereas autism is more of the best way I see, or one of the main cues, I guess I should say, of autism, and there's several listed there. However, uh, your or one thing I've noticed is if something goes wrong or something is out of um, the norm,
mhm,
it's not exactly so. Then that throws everything off. Which that's not a attention to detail or a focus issue. That's more of something that is an everyday occurrence. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's definitely quite a list of similarities,
Mhm,
but you can see on the outskirts there. and we'll put this slide, and we have one more slide for later on the Discord as well, for you to take a gander at. But that is an essential rundown, and we will be doing a show on this month. Either next week, we've got to come out with the schedule for the upcoming weeks. After today, we are blank as far. Well, we have shows lined up to do, but we don't have anything posted on the socials yet. So we will get this one this month. As Gemma, you were saying, this month is
Autism Acceptance Month.
Autism Month. Yeah. Okay. So perfect. Let's move along to the next question, please.
So what is the best way to support your significant other with their mental health problems? I don't know how to do it, and I don't want to make it worse.
Support your significant other? Or support anybody for that matter. We have done an episode recently on this topic, or at least it was mentioned in the show. I don't know if it was specifically on this topic or if it came up in one of our previous shows. It's a touchy subject, I guess, for some things. How you correctly and everybody's different, right? So no real way to kind of answer. I don't know your significant other, because he or she or they might react differently than I would. So it's a on the basis of the person. Your significant other, how they.
Just be there though. That's all anyone can do is be there, be an ear for when they need to talk.
There's no real playbook for.
Don't be dismissive of their feelings. Like we went through this on one of the other broadcasts about how to accept what someone's saying, watch your wording so that it's not a dismissive, it's an acceptance of what they're saying rather than dismissing their thoughts and feelings. Make sure that you don't do that because that doesn't help. But just be there, and if you don't know how to support them, ask them. Say, I want to be able to help you. What's the best way I can do it? Again, communication. Just ask.
I mean, other than like Craig just said, don't let them feel judged. Other than the main bullet points of just good communication and not being an asshole. There is something to be taken into account of what kind of person they are, or I'm sorry, how they normally react to things. This is somebody that you're potentially intimate with, and you're quite intimately, I guess I should say, and how they deal with things. If you want further information, please feel free to reach out to us on the Discord or any of the socials. We can talk more privately and get a better feel for what's going on in your situation. I know Hattie's open to talking about these types of things, as she has mentioned before, and she deals with on her own as well. So that should hopefully answer that. If like I said, if you want more information, please feel free to reach out.
Right. So that was question 10 of 30. I'm thinking because of time, if we get halfway through and then maybe continue them next week.
We should probably do that. What does everybody think?
That was we've got another 20 to go through.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Get to number 15 and then we continue this next week.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't think we've ever had quite as many sent in as this.
Yeah, we have.
So to really do it justice, I think we should break it down into 2. because otherwise we're just going to end up rushing through it and not giving it the attention that they need.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're getting a good bit of that. Continue next week. Part 2 works. Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll do a
Okay. Well,
live
that's next week.
Q&A 5 part 2 next week. That just means our show is growing. We're still
Yeah.
growing. We're growing every day.
This is more than double what we've ever had on any of them. We've never had this many questions.
That's excellent.
But
And,
anyway, next question. This is aimed at you. This is asking you a specific question now. So
right.
it says, Tim, do you ever get frustrated sometimes with having a baby? I am a recovering alcoholic and I have been sober now for just over 3 years. I have had a baby with my girlfriend, but honestly, sometimes it's just too much for me to cope and I feel bad. What can I do? I think they're getting at the frustration of being a parent, maybe with that.
Yeah, so I can't particularly say that it's been a strain on my life. Being a recovering alcoholic, I've never once felt the urge to drink because of Penelope.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it that way, if that makes sense. Penelope has been kind of like the grand prize of my sobriety.
Yeah.
What I've been waiting for my whole life is this child of mine. And now I have her, and I want to stay sober for her. And I was in no way, shape, or form ready to be a parent before my sobriety. I always thought I could do it, and I told everybody it's not a big deal. I'll be fine. But knowing now what I know, as far as what a life of sobriety feels like versus what I felt like back then, I would have been in no shape to be a dad, or at least an attentive dad, or here, present in the moment. The Penelope has been just an ultimate present or prize at the sobriety, and
Makes you want to strive even more to keep going with it, right?
I haven't known a love like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in love with my wife, but this is a whole new.
It's a whole person that you and your wife have created.
Yeah, I can't even explain the love. As Ryan Reynolds said it, he was doing an interview, and I think I might have said this on there before. He said, yes, I love my wife, and I thought I knew what love was then, but then we had this beautiful baby girl, and I found out what love really is. And this person that I am in love with, my wife, I would be willing to throw her in front of a bullet to save my baby. It's just a whole different love. And it's, I can't express how good she makes me feel. And, there's been I can't really relate with what you're going through, I guess.
I think as parents, though, we all get frustrated, like when they're babies and things, and they're just crying, and you don't know what the hell they want.
Yeah,
and sometimes it can go
there's
through your head like, "Oh my God, you've been fed, you've been changed. What the hell do you want?" And it doesn't get any easier as they get older. They just nag. And I did it the other day. I'm like, "Oh my God, for goodness sake, just shut up." And it does. It is frustrating sometimes being a parent with or without any addiction. But yeah, it's.
But I feel, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yes, there's always going to be moments of frustration, but I guess what I said earlier, I mean, this seemed to be a question revolving around addiction and parenting, or recovery and parenting. And Penelope has never once made me feel the urge to drink.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I hope that kind of answers that.
If whoever sent that, there's no name or anything, but if whoever sent that wants to write back and emphasize anything else, then feel free to do so. Right, number 12. This one's just a really quick one. Will there be another show on depression soon? So, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's going to be several more episodes on depression. We've
it's such
done
a vast
3 of
topic.
them
Yeah.
in the 85 episodes we've done. There's been 3 episodes solely based on depression or focused on depression, and we've barely scratched the surface. There's a lot to talk about there. So yes, stay tuned for that. There will be more on depression.
Okay, number 13. So, can you explain your use of alcohol solely to ADHD?
I like all the ADHD questions. I mean, I have recently gone on a bit of a tirade on it. We had a great episode or an interview with John McCabe not long ago. And that was, if you want to go back and watch that on the YouTube channel or listen to it on Spotify or any of the major podcasting networks, it is there. We got into a great discussion about ADHD and then also more recently, I can't remember which episode, but it might have been the suicidal ideation one, where I got into why I drank. I don't know if it was suicidal ideation. It was one of them, but it wasn't. It wasn't the main focus of the episode, is what I'm getting at. But it was recent, and I got into why I drank and how depression is definitely something I was masking. However, ADHD was something so phenomenally active in my brain, and I didn't really know about it at the time. I didn't know that was going on um, as to why I was drinking until I read some articles and was listening to some podcasts and what have you. And there's been a wide receiver that died recently. I can't remember his name, of course, in the moment. But he was a wide receiver in the NFL. He died recently, and it was due to alcohol related. But he wrote or his sister was interviewed, and his sister said that he drank to feel normal, to get rid of the fuzz, and that is exactly what ADHD causes. Um, just this fog, this inattentiveness, this lull.
Vincent Jackson, was that it?
Huh?
Was it Vincent Jackson?
It could be, yes, actually.
Yeah, I just looked it up really quick.
Vincent Jackson. He said that he drank to get rid of the fuzz and to make things normal and to feel normal. And that is as close as I can describe as to why I drank so much, is to feel normal.
It was on suicidal ideation, I remember it.
Yeah. He was on the Bucks. I think he was also on the Chargers. Yeah, he struggled with this, and it wasn't known. But anywho, the question that doesn't answer the question. The question was, can I solely explain my drinking? No, not really. It's a genetic thing. My drinking is first and foremost in my genes. I was dealt this hand, but that's not an excuse. I'm not using it as an excuse. I could manage this, or I could have gotten a lot sooner had I chose to see the warning signs that were there so clearly. But ADHD is definitely up there as one of my top prospects for what I did, why I did what I did, or why I drank. It definitely did not help things. So, yes. Anywho, thank you, Hattie, for finding the John McCabe interview and also the Vincent Jackson article right there. That's a good read. I would highly recommend it. It really does it delves into exactly, if you want to know why Tim Conrad drank or what was one of the leading causes, read that article, because he felt, when I read that, I was like, damn, that's pretty that's pretty on point. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, we'll move on to the next question.
Question 14. Right. It just says, please give us a rundown on how to meet good therapists.
Something we talked about a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about shopping around. Gemma, if you want to continue on that.
Yeah, like there's definitely, if you're going to go private or if you're in America or wherever you have to pay for them, there's reputable websites where you can look up and find therapists, look at other people's reviews, and then try it. Try a session with them, see how you get on with them, see if you connect with them. If you don't, try somebody else. If you do, great. And then if you are in the UK or somewhere like that has, say, if I wanted to get a therapist and didn't want to pay privately and I was referred, I really wouldn't get much of a choice as to who I got. But if I got somebody and I didn't connect with them, I could go and say to my referrer, look, just not feeling it with this one. I need somebody else. There are places, PALS, Patient Advice and Liaison Service, who you can contact and they will sort things out. There's advocacy services that will help you as well. But certainly look it up online, do a bit of like internet shopping online, but make sure you use reputable sites. If anybody is actually looking for one and would like to reach back out, say where they're from, I'll be happy to find a website or something that might help. But yeah, definitely just shop around, try it. If it doesn't work, there's no shame. It really isn't a one size fits all.
Perfectly said.
It's a concern. So just do what feels right. You know.
Perfectly said, as always. We go over this several times. It's all a matter of, it's like finding a significant other. It's as important as that. You have to mesh well with them. You have to feel a connection.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not connecting with this person, then you're not going to be gaining anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as Hattie said earlier, don't be afraid to fire them. Um, you don't have to go in there and say you're fired, but you might want to break it to them gently.
Yeah, they're working for you at the end of the day. You know.
But yeah, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself and for your needs.
Mm-hmm. And there are services out there that will help you do that as well. If you can't actually advocate for yourself and you need support, there are services that do that as well. Next question. This will be the last for tonight then. And we'll
Surely.
continue.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll do a two-parter because
I just feel like going through all 30 tonight, we're not going to give it the justice and the attention.
We're going to start rushing through things if we keep
on. And there's some that really need an in-depth. There's some that really need an in-depth answer. So in order to do the best for them, it's best we split it up.
So I guess you guys are going to have to come back.
Yes. Right. So the last one then for tonight. How do I deal with someone telling me what to do? I feel like that is like I have that all the time where parents, for example, telling me what I should and shouldn't do, even though I'm an adult.
What was the question?
Being bossed around and stuff. How do I deal with someone telling me what to do?
Okay.
I mean, I guess the best thing to do if you feel tell them, like, I depending on what it is, like I say stuff like, I know you may be only trying to help, but I don't appreciate you telling me what to do all the time. I have got a mind of my own. Be honest with them, because at the end of the day, if you don't if you don't tell somebody your boundaries, they ain't gonna know. So you have to put your boundaries in place, and then if they continually overstep those boundaries, then there's a problem. But you have to
I
tell
wonder
them.
if that doesn't
Well,
have. I wonder if that doesn't have anything to do with like. Now, of course, I'm gonna see everything through the eyeballs of an alcoholic in recovery. Giving up your control.
mhm,
Essentially, that was my steps of 12-step program. I had to give up uh, control and let somebody else take the wheel, the higher power, essentially.
mhm,
Which I mean, you're still in control, but um, you are essentially giving yourself up. Uh,
mhm.
I might be looking too in depth to this, but I'd be curious if whoever wrote that reached out and um, described it a little more. If we're on the right track, because
Yeah,
just somebody telling you what to do. I mean, we got bosses, we've got um,
yeah.
dominant friends. Um,
At the end of the day, if it is somebody that's not like a boss or there for a medical reason, that is to help you, and if it is just somebody like friend, family member, you have to, I guess, think you have to let them know. Obviously, they won't know if you don't tell them,
yeah,
but you have to
but you brought up a good
tell
point
them.
there, Gemma, about boundaries.
Hmm.
Um, that's super important. Is to set your boundaries and
And stick to them. Don't
stick to them.
if you keep letting people like undermine you and cross your boundaries, they're gonna keep pushing it.
Yeah,
And if you
exactly.
don't set your boundaries and stick to them, let people know what your boundaries are, they're not gonna know. And if you keep giving in on them, they're gonna keep pushing it. So let them know your boundaries. If they keep pushing it and not respecting your boundaries, you have to think to yourself, is this person beneficial to my life? Is it making me more depressed and more anxious and more upset by them being in my life? And that's when it becomes something you're going to have to really think about and decide from there, like, do they need to be in my life?
Perfect. All right. That is indeed a good stopping point for tonight.
Mhm.
There is still 15 questions to comb through, so we will do that on Fresh Minds next week. So set your calendars now and your reminders that we will be back again next week with a second part to our live Q&A. And thank you guys for sending all these questions in. It's awesome
Mhm.
that we're able to grow like this and get so many more.
It's huge. We've never had. This is more than double what we've ever had. So
Yeah.
yeah, amazing.
Please check out. Oh shit, Gemma, I forgot to do your thing. I'll do that tonight. Please check out Catalyst this evening with Jim in Chicagoland. He's there in the chat this evening for you. Every Wednesday night he does it, 10 to 11 p.m. somewhere in that time is start time, and he goes for at least on the East Coast here. He's going till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. There's a lot to chat about midweek turnaround heading into a holiday weekend as well. So, Jim, if you are partaking, I assume you are. We will be there with you this evening. Also, check out A Ray of Sunshine. What the hell's going on here?
I'm trying to get it up and you're doing it,
Oh,
obviously.
you're doing it. I'm sorry.
Go on, there you
Also,
go.
check out A Ray of Sunshine on Twitch as he streams positive stories and vibes. I've got to update Ray's thing too. I've been saying that for about 3 weeks. Every Tuesday night, uh, uh, he's in the chat as well, one of our mods on this channel. Please check him out. Give him a follow and a share. Gemma also is now not ex Gemma. It's
Just
Gemmy
without the X's.
Gemmy H83. No X's. So we will
I
get there.
dropped the X's in all senses.
So I'm going to actually pull up Stream Elements now. And that way I'll remember to do it.
Do it now or you'll not
All right. I have it pulled up on a tab. And then Eric, He's also a good friend of the show. Check him out every Monday night at 7 p.m. as he streams great broadcastings of video games and whatnot. And finally, for all things bunny, check out our good friend Ella, the Bunny Mom, at Ella the Bunny Mom, right here on Twitch, and www.mybunnyvalentine.com for good merch, cute merch, all kinds of merch, bunny-related merch for your Easter basket needs. Use the Fire Dude 15 code. And if you hop on Catalyst later tonight, Jim also has a coupon code for you. So hit him up as well later tonight. He's in the chat. Give him a follow. Ray's in the chat. Everybody's in the chat. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Join the Discord. It's a pretty awesome place. Hit up the bio link. We'll see everybody next week for part 2 of this amazing live Q&A number 5. And I hope everybody who celebrates has a great Easter Sunday and Passover and etc. So until next week, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.